Welcome to another video with the Divine Names Mystery Ministry. Today we are on Article 2 of Question 11 in the prima pars of St. Thomas Aquinas' Summa Theologica. Question 11 has to do with the unity of God, and Article 2 asks whether one and many are opposed to each other. Objection 1. It seems that one and many are not mutually opposed. For no opposite thing is predicated of its opposite, but every multitude is in a certain way one, as appears from the preceding article. Therefore, one is not opposed to the multitude. Reply to Objection 1. No privation entirely takes away the being of a thing, inasmuch as privation means negation in the subject, according to the philosopher in his categories. Nevertheless, every privation takes away some being, and so in being, by reason of its universality, privation of being has its foundation in being, which is not the case in privations of some forms, as of sight, or of whiteness and the like. And what applies to being applies also to one and to good, which are controvertible with being. For the privation of good is founded in some good. Likewise, the removal of unity is founded in some one thing. Hence, it happens that multitude is some one thing, and evil some good thing, and non-being is some kind of being. Nevertheless, opposite is not predicated of opposite, for as much as one is absolute and the other is relative. For what is relative being, as a potentiality, is non-being absolutely, i.e. actually. Or what is absolute being in the genus of substance is non-being relatively as regards some accidental being. In the same way, what is relatively good is absolutely bad, or vice versa. Likewise, what is absolutely one is relatively many, and vice versa. Objection 2. Further, no opposite thing is constituted by its opposite, but multitude is constituted by one. Therefore, it is not opposed to multitude. Reply to Objection 2. A whole is twofold. In one sense, it is homogeneous, composed of like parts. In another sense, it is heterogeneous, composed of dissimilar parts. Now, in every homogeneous whole, the whole is made up of parts having the form of the whole. As, for instance, every part of water is water. And such is the constitution of a continuous thing made up of its parts. In every heterogeneous whole, however, every part is wanting in the form belonging to the whole. As, for instance, no part of a house is a house, nor is any part of a man a man. Now multitude is such a kind of whole. Therefore, inasmuch as its part has not the form of the multitude, the latter is composed of unities. As a house is composed of not houses, not indeed, as a house is composed of not houses, not indeed, as if unities constituted multitudes so far as they are undivided, in which they are opposed to the multitude, but so far as they have being, as also the parts of a house make up the house by the fact that they are beings, not by the fact that they are not houses. Objection 3. Further, one is opposed to one, but the idea of few is opposed to many. Therefore, one is not opposed to many. Reply to Objection 3. Many is taken in two ways. Absolutely, and in that sense it is opposed to one. In another way, as importing some kind of excess, in which sense it is opposed to few. Hence, in the first sense, two are many, but not in the second sense. Objection 4. The last objection. Further, if one is opposed to multitude, it is opposed as the undivided is to the divided, and is thus opposed to it as privation is to habit. But this appears to be incongruous, because it would follow that one comes after multitude, and is defined by it, whereas, on the contrary, multitude is defined by one. Hence, there would be a vicious circle in the definition, which is inadmissible. Therefore, one and many are not opposed. Thomas's reply to objection 4. One is opposed to many privatively, inasmuch as the idea of many involves division. Hence, division must be prior to unity, not absolutely in itself, but according to our way of apprehension. For we apprehend simple things by compound things, and hence we define a point to be what has no part, or the beginning of a line. Multitude also, in idea, follows on one, because we do not understand divided things to convey the idea of multitude except by the fact that we attribute unity to every part. Hence, one is placed in the definition of multitude, but multitude is not placed in the definition of one. But division comes to be understood from the very negation of being. So what first comes to mind is being. Secondly, that this being is not that being, and thus we apprehend division as a consequence. Thirdly comes the notion of one. Fourthly, the notion of multitude. On the contrary, things which are opposed in idea are themselves opposed to each other. But the idea of one consists in indivisibility, and the idea of multitude contains division. Therefore, one and many are opposed to each other. I answer that one is opposed to many, but in various ways. The one which is the principle of number is opposed to multitude, which is number, as the measure is to the thing measured. For one implies the idea of a primary measure, and number is multitude, measured by one, as is clear from Aristotle's Metaphysics. But the one which controvertible with being is opposed to multitude by way of privation, as the undivided is to the thing divided. But the one which controvertible with being is opposed to multitude by way of privation, as the undivided is to the thing divided. Just had to repeat that last sentence there. That is Article 2, Question 11, in the prima pars of St. Thomas Aquinas' Summa Theologica. Thanks for tuning in.